Josh Guy, the Plant Ninja here. I'm super excited to be talking with, how do you say it? Reelyka? Reelyka?
Reelyka, yeah, whatever.
Reelyka, yeah, okay, Reelyka. Awesome. She's got a cool name. And,
Thank
we've
you.
been connected through the socials before, but this is our first time to have a live conversation together. And I'm really excited because she has a really cool story. Um, Reelyka is high raw or a high fruit raw vegan women's health coach, and she has a really cool story of healing that I've heard a little bit of from her socials. Here we are today. I'm coming from Bali, and you're in Estonia. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, it's super cold here right now. It's like minus 20 degrees. So I I'm jealous that you are in Bali and
Yeah.
under the sun.
Yeah, it's like maybe like 35 Celsius or something like that here.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. We are meant to be in tropics. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, I mean, I believe so evolutionarily, and that's a whole other conversation in itself. But it's definitely appropriate. It has to do with our physiology. It has to do with what we're really designed to eat. And so, I think we'll touch on some, all those topics today. But the way I'd love to
Yeah,
start
ex
this is just to if you could just give us a little intro of yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey, your story, what really inspired you about getting into going vegan and transitioning to high fruit raw, maybe some of the challenges you faced before and some of the breakthroughs that you had.
Yeah, absolutely. My health journey has been so long, and I think like I've always interested about this topic about like human psychology, like everything, human anatomy. It has always been interesting for me how we work, how humans work, but my major issue started when I went to high school and I worked during the weekends in the hotel. I was studying for exams and I ate whatever. I still found time for partying, and my life was kind of stressful all over the place. And I was, surviving. I was just like going work, going to school. I didn't sleep. Then my major issues started. I developed psoriasis. I gained weight. I had a lot of weight on me. I had major acne on my face. My hair was kind of falling out because of my psoriasis in my head area. And I remember like doctors couldn't do anything about it. They just described me some creams to put on my hair, and I was just like okay with that I need to be living with this autoimmune disease. That's what they said.
Okay.
And for acne, I remember I went to the doctors and they described me birth control pills, and
Hmm.
I took 8 years birth control pills because of my acne, and it was okay. It was under control, but few years ago, 3 years ago now, 4 years ago, I came out of the birth control pills, and my acne went so worse. It has never been that worse, and the birth control pills kind of hide the symptoms like
Hmm.
the whole time you are taking it, but when you come out of it, it gets worse. Your body just like makes up the whole time you
Hmm.
it was hiding them. And um and yeah, like um 4 years ago, I also was restricting a lot, and I had like um eating disorders, and that's when I kind of felt like I need to make a change. And I went 10 years ago, I went vegan, but it wasn't for my health. It was just for animals, and I lost weight a lot because of just vegan diet and just like eating intuitively. But through the journey has been long, and I felt great, but I was still, drinking alcohol and everything, and and this just led me to restriction, just wanting to do wanting to be more skinnier, more beautiful, whatever. I had like these very, very unrealistic expectations of my body. I was never satisfied with my body, and yeah, one day when my acne was so worse, my bloating was, I developed major bloating as well with restriction. I just one day, these all diseases or complications with my body was the worst. I was just so tired. I knew when I go to, doctors or anything, they just, can't help me much. I knew that these things are in me, and most of it, not only the food, but how I treat myself, like how I'm talking with myself, everything,
Hmm.
and what I'm, um, yeah, what I'm what I'm doing every day, and I just was so tired. Woke up. My bloating was so major. I just started to cry, and I was doing the major change. I was like, okay, tomorrow I go to the store, I buy a bunch of bananas, fruits, and I try to heal my issues with food, and I really, um, you know, thought that this can help, and yeah, that's kind of when my journey started.
Yeah, amazing. So did anybody, where did you get the inspiration to start going towards fruit?
Yeah, actually, like when I went vegan 10 years ago, I found out freely. Of course, I think
Uh-huh.
that's when she was the most popular,
Hmm.
and and I remember I was like, oh, like of course she has a great body, and this lifestyle just seems so free, but I
And
just
also one
couldn't
of the things
see.
she always talked about is like she overcame bloating.
Yeah, exactly. Like major health issues. So she had like eating disorders as well and
Right.
everything. But at that time I was like, oh, I couldn't do it. Like this just seems so extreme. Like I don't
Hmm.
want to quit alcohol. I don't want to eat only fruit. I want to, eat everything vegan, but really this when I was in my lowest point, I just, I think that's when you're agreeing with everything,
Hmm.
just give me everything. I am willing to work,
Right.
and yeah, and I think like through freely I found the lifestyle, but like different people, I listened a lot of doctors as well, like Graham, McDougall, even like a
Mm-hmm.
lot of carb-based doctors, and yeah, I think, yeah, freely was my first inspiration doing this.
Yeah. Amazing. So I think a lot of people share that similar experience when they're inevitably many people as they start coming out of their early 20s and start getting their later 20s, the things start to the issues that they've built up from wrong diet and lifestyle and things which are just rife in Western culture, all these
Yeah,
different kind of things, they start to express when our bodies can no longer really deal with them efficiently anymore, our liver, our kidneys, our skin, etc. And they start to really come out. And then, the first line of action is we go look into the medical industry, and they're basically trained very well for trauma and pharmaceuticals. Really
hmm,
root conditions, chronic, and actually curing chronic disease is very rare. And they oftentimes don't have any clue what's really going on, but they'll treat the symptoms. And this masking of the symptoms, it
yeah,
appears, can really create, issues that echo on down the line that then express as more serious conditions later on.
ex
And then they give you more serious medication a lot of times. And so Uh, the goal obviously is to find that root, what the root situation is, and it all kind of comes back to, are we putting in the right fuel for the body?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and now what we're discovering, and many people are discovering, is the most human appropriate food, which the biochemistry, the nutritional data, etc., points to fruit being the main energy source, and then plant foods being not only sufficient for protein, not only sufficient for all the nutrients and minerals, but are optimal because they don't contain these other bioavailable nutrients like high saturated fat and these metabolic byproducts that cause us issues from meat and dairy and all these things. So, amongst other things that cause aging and things in the
Yeah,
cooked meats and these things, they have these these
exactly.
biochemistry things. There's like advanced glycation end products and these free radicals and things that really age us.
Yeah, exactly. Like what I've noticed the most as well, that 4 years ago I looked older than I look right now, and
Hmm.
I don't have like I was so tired all the time, and I developed like wrinkles and everything. Like I was so young, 26, and now I'm turning 30,
Hmm.
and these wrinkles, like like they're not that major anymore,
Yeah,
and this
and
just
probably the
shows
inflammation's gone
how
down.
yeah, exactly, inflammation and everything, and this just shows you how you can get younger with food,
Hmm.
and yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just share a little bit about my journey and how I
Yeah,
got into veganism and raw food. So,
exactly.
back, I was coming out whenever I came into the vegan lifestyle. I was coming out of the kind of angsty period uh, where that had built up to when I was about 18 or 19 years old, where I was like, so much was going on in the world that I didn't understand, that I felt like was wrong, and I didn't have any solutions, and so I was kind of just like writing sad songs and angry about it. And I had this big kind of spiritual awakening around the age of 20. I started getting into meditation and yoga and, uh, you know, realizing, um, finding out like what I felt were like a lot of roots of the cultural issues that I saw, which I call it the cultural schism. It's like a division of the
Mm-hmm.
nobody's on the same page with religion, nobody's on the same page with worldview, diet, etc. And this causes a lot of strife, and challenge with families and communities. And I started to see and have this real tangible experience of breakthroughs and solutions. And one of the things that came to me very strongly was that I no longer wanted to harm animals for to get my
Mm-hmm.
nutrients. And I didn't have a lot of information about whether this was healthy or whether I had the I had been told that it was healthy, but I didn't have the nutritional data. I didn't know whether you could do this long term. I just had a strong uh, inclination to do so. It was very spiritually uh, fueled, and so I basically overnight around in 2008, so around the age of 20, 21, somewhere around there, I went raw vegan overnight, and I really did a lot of things right with that. I was started eating basically all raw foods. I didn't know the power of fruits yet, and so I was eating some fruit, but it wasn't. I was focusing too much on raw vegetables and probably a little bit too much fat
Mm-hmm.
with the nut butters and the dressings and things like that. And though I did experience a lot of cleansing and just a major like shifting in my consciousness, I was having some
Mm-hmm.
digestive distress because I'm over here trying to digest all these breasts because I was eating like raw broccoli and stuff. I just didn't even know. That's just kind of all I knew
Yeah,
at the time. So I was having some digestive distress, and I knew that I needed to have a shift in some way or another. I just didn't know what it was because it's like fruit
yeah,
is so foreign to us now. Fruit is treated like the candy of the food group or something like that. It's like there's none of it.
yeah,
We're not
yeah.
taught about this stuff, and so you think, oh no, it's too much sugar. They teach us that sugar causes diabetes. All this incorrect information that's not even accurate. And
Exactly.
and,
Yeah.
and so um, I knew I needed to make a shift. I synchronistically around the age of 23, so I was basically on this diet for a little over almost 3 years. And I synchronistically met my wife, and we had such powerful united vision and such a deep love for one another. We basically, uh, even though it didn't make sense to anybody else, we got married within 3 months. It's like I didn't have a career yet. She had a 3-year-old son, and we got married, and we kind of there was so many things that drew us together. And one of the things that was really fascinating to me, she had already been vegan for 10 years, and she
Hmm.
was very into the macrobiotic culture, which is,
Oh, wow.
for those of you who don't know, it's very Japanese cuisine based. It's lots of cooked. It's basically whole food plant based. With sometimes they recommend a little bit of fish for healing, but it's a very powerful philosophy that has to do with the understanding of yin and yang and 5 element theory and applying these concepts to your lifestyle and dietary choices. So whenever I met her, I started eating lots of brown rice, beans, cooked vegetables, seaweeds, salads, a little bit of fruit, and I had a big breakthrough. It was like when I first did it, I was like, wow, this is it. Because I was getting the carbs I needed all of a sudden, and I was getting the fat where it needed to be, and I was getting
Yeah.
all these amazing minerals and nutrition from these plants, in these cooked plants, like because you can get a higher volume of these kind of
Hmm.
cooked plants in your diet. And so I went back to college for horticulture. We had our first child together. We had our second child together. Graduated, with the honors degree in horticulture. We moved to another state. I started up a mushroom business, da 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 da. And I was doing all this fueled by plants, fueled by on a macrobiotic diet until we
Hmm.
came to, and we did really well, and our kids were healthy and strong. And we came to a head point where um, we had noticed some issues with this diet, whereas like when you're eating the whole grains and the beans and the salt and the cooked veggies, there's a tendency to want to overeat because it's so
Hmm.
delicious, it's so rich,
Yeah,
and even
exactly.
the gut microbiome that wants more of these complex carbs and this rich
Hmm.
stuff. So we had a little bit of digestive distress and the tendency to overeat this stuff. We knew that we wanted to explore going raw again, but we didn't have the sign yet, what to do, where to go, who to study. We were really into studying the
Yeah.
plant-based doctors. We studied, like you said, McDougall. We studied
Yeah.
before we had studied Dr. Bernard and Rip Esselstyn or Caldwell
Hmm.
Esselstyn and all the heroes, right? And so my stepson, who had lived the majority of the time with his father at the time, who ate a very standard American diet, had, whenever he was with his dad, ended up being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And this was
Wow.
around the age of 10. And this
Hmm.
was just a shocking for us and really intense.
Yeah.
And we really wanted to help him the best we could. And so we started looking at alternative healing ways of eating. We were like, and there's all this stuff about keto, even vegan keto and all of it. And we were like, we tried to eat one high fat meal. And obviously people are going to say, no, you weren't in ketosis, but we tried to eat one like just all fat meal. And we were just like, oh my
Yeah.
God, we
Yeah.
felt terrible. And so we found the Dr. Morse, Dr. Sebi,
Hmm.
Arnold Ehret, the whole detox community, and we started doing a lot of research, and we felt very aligned with it, very guided, and so we dove headlong into that 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 scene where we went high fruit, all raw. We're looking at which vegetables to eat, which ones not to eat,
Yeah.
looking into the detox protocols, etc. And had amazing shifts in our own health, had amazing shifts in our metabolism and how energized we felt in not feeling that sense of overeating anymore, where it's just like you can eat a
Hmm.
giant meal of fruit and just feel like you just digest it so quickly, so efficiently. You don't end up
Yeah.
being bloated. And it was just a huge breakthrough for us in a lot of ways. And that's also how we got into finding out about the Mastering Diabetes guys, for those of you who
Wow.
don't know these guys, they're pretty much um, the authority on pancreatic uh, function. And they're based upon their recommendations, which is a high raw, high fruit, low fat, which is 15 to
Hmm.
20% calories from fat, they're able to get type 1 diabetics to reduce their medication by up to 80% because
Wow.
they become so sensitive to the insulin because what many people don't realize is that fat actually causes insulin resistance. And the biochemistry is pretty simple, but
Yeah,
when you,
exactly. Yeah, like I studied diabetes a lot of as well. Even when I was in the hospital, I went through a course with like diabetes nutrition, and uh, and are you still on live
yep, we're good.
Instagram? Okay, yeah, and yeah, I remember like. As well, like diabetics needed to eat only one potato, like no more carbs, like just like a lot of fat, but the carbs are super low, or not at all.
Hmm.
And I even like when I started this fruit-based lifestyle, I was so interested about my blood sugar because everyone was telling me, like, hey, you get diabetes, like your blood sugars are super high. And I was buying this, um, I was, how do you say this, blood sugar meter.
Hmm.
And I took my blood sugars, and actually, like, even eating right after, after measuring my blood sugar after eating watermelon, it was still normal. Like, it didn't even get that high because of the water and fiber. And I think like what people don't really get, that our blood sugar is supposed to get up. It's supposed to get up, but it's supposed to get down as well, like quickly. It should get down. And I think like what's the issue here is the fat is blocking the sugar. It gets up, but it's not getting down because the fat is on the way. And that's when the inflammation, diseases start to um, come out, because the sugar is stuck there. There's nowhere to go. And yeah, we even in the hospital, we like teach to people that it shouldn't never go up, because like it's always should be like on the low side, or like normal. But it's like dangerous if it gets up. But that's not the case. It's the case that if it's not going down, like
Yeah,
then it's the problem.
absolutely. Yeah. And in fact, the spike in blood sugar actually triggers the pancreas to produce the
Yeah.
insulin. And like the biochemistry is that you have a muscle cell, it has a special keyhole. It's called a receptor site that's perfect shape for insulin. And in a healthy functioning body, you'll eat some food, some carbohydrates. It'll elevate the blood glucose. It'll trigger the pancreas to produce insulin. The insulin comes in, opens the receptor site. The glucose goes into the cell where it's converted to ATP. But in a body where we have
Hmm.
the incorrect foods in the wrong ratios, which in this situation we're talking about fat. When the fat is too high, and that number is usually around above 20% total calories from fat, you have this fat that's floating around in the blood. It clogs up these insulin receptor sites. You go ahead and you get some glucose in the blood, triggers the pancreas. The insulin tries to go get into the receptor site, but it's already blocked up. Like you said, it's blocked
Yeah.
by this fat. And then
Hmm.
you end up with the continuously elevated blood sugar, which if you're not getting the blood sugar in, then you're feeling sluggish and tired because it's not getting converted to ATP. But also you're feeding something else, such as candida and other kind
Yeah,
of pathogenic microbes, and
exactly.
you're creating all the issues from the high blood sugar. But you're also that continues to trigger the pancreas to keep producing more insulin, which over time creates pancreatic exhaustion, otherwise known as type 2 diabetes. And the reason why people are so confused about that is because there was some data from the 20s where they were continuing to feed people a standard American diet or a high fat 35% or so diet, and they were just feeding them. They weren't changing anything about that diet. They just were adding more and more sugar. So what did they see? They saw
Hmm.
that as they added more sugar, their blood glucose went up and up and up. And so they blamed the sugar for the insulin resistance, and sugar got demonized as the problem. But definitive data and it now shows us it's really the fat. And that makes so much sense for our physiology. It makes so much sense for how we're designed to eat fruit in so many ways.
Mm-hmm.
We're physiologically frugivores, high frugivorous
Mm-hmm.
beings. So,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I just finished my nutrition school as well, and the major fear is still the fruit there. Like they
mhm,
still say that we should hold our fruit like to the minimum, and mostly like eat veggies like
mhm,
and there's so much work to do to get the fruit part like bigger as well in our diets. Like we are so afraid. So often I go to the store, I buy a lot of boxes of persimmons right now,
mhm.
and every time like the worker comes and says like, what are you doing with this? Like, this is crazy. Are you doing a jam with it, or what are you doing? I'm just like, hey, no, I'm eating it. and
Yeah, yeah. And
and
people don't even
this
realize you
just
don't even require insulin to get fructose, which is the most common sugar in fruit, into the cells. It's so
yeah.
perfect. As soon as that fructose touches the tongue, it starts to actually absorb through the even in the mouth. It's like such a human specific food.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think that the high fruit, like I focus on the fruit for energy. And so I eat basically fruit from the first thing for breakfast, then lunch. I eat fruit throughout the day, and then I do more mineral rich sort of stuff later on because I definitely think that we still require some other plant foods, some greens, some
Yeah.
seaweeds are great, some minerals, some green powders even good. I love spirulina. I do a little bit of shilajit.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I think that the doing a little bit of extra effort in the mineral side of things is because our fruits used to be much more mineral concentrated. And
Yeah.
due to just the modern era of hybridization in the direction of high water, high fructose,
Mm-hmm.
that's created more volume of water and fructose in comparison to the mineral content, which would have in the past been more balanced, more like the berries we see or some of the older bananas and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I really like to lean a little bit in the direction of the high minerals and things like that. And I actually still incorporate some wakame miso soup, which is like seaweed in a
Yeah.
miso soup. But I think that
Mm-hmm.
there's super high merit in very little cooked food,
Mm-hmm.
if not none. And
Yeah.
um, yeah, just like I guess this is a decent spot to just kind of cap off my story. So we did the about 3 years high completely raw, and we did no salt for years, and
Mm-hmm.
we were following that protocol, and everything was really pretty good. We definitely had some heavy detox symptoms. We definitely had some healing crises that we got through because that stuff really stirs up some of the
Yeah.
backlog of things we need to process. But ultimately, I don't want to actually go too deep into the story because it's a long story of how we ended up going from that was in California and how we ended up getting to Bali. But
Mm-hmm.
it was during COVID time, and due to the stress of all the moving we were doing and the airport shutting down and us buying tickets and then flights getting canceled and us being stuck in the winter still in the United States and the kids were complaining under the stress and just wanting some comfort food and some richness. We actually reverted
Yeah.
and started doing some more sweet potatoes and some whole grains and beans and things, and we did that also for a couple of years. We got stuck for in the States for an extra 2 years from the time we really wanted to come to the tropics. We finally got our window. We made it to the tropics. We've been super. We never really got off the high fruit thing, and we have found a nice balance now where we're probably 80% raw, something like that. And that's including some sweet potatoes, a little bit of cooked veggies, and like the miso soup I was telling you about. And I feel more and more inspired about becoming more and more raw as time goes. But this
Yeah.
is where we've settled right now.
I just can't imagine how this lifestyle can be, with children, like especially like moving and everything, and they are so young, and as well like this just seems another level for me, and yeah, how do you think like your kids like are adapting this lifestyle? Like, are they just okay whatever you serve to them, or they are like, liking cooked foods more, or
Well,
how do you say?
so we've done they were all raised plant-based from birth.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kept a track on their growth, we've kept a track on their health. They've had blood work, we've had blood work, we've seen, all our nutritional levels are optimal, and
Mm-hmm.
um in their growth they're like right smack in the middle of 50th percentile of just normal healthy children. Besides the fact that they have a little extra shine, I may be partial, they have a little extra shine in their eyes, and many people say this about them and just
Yes.
how they come off and
Yeah,
things.
they are the sweetest. Yeah, I really like them. Yeah.
And so they do really well. They love the fruit. They love the plant foods. They're totally like on board with the mission. They know about planetary sustainability. They know um, about the sentience of the creatures. We had our own vegan farm back in Texas where we had a lot of animals, just as
Wow.
companions and compost
Mm-hmm.
producers and things. Um, and so they grew up around these creatures. They relate deeply with them because they're very, mammals and birds and things are very similar to people. They have
Yeah.
express affection for one another and express emotion and grief whenever things die or they're taken from them. So they're very similar to us in a lot of ways. I know I'm not going to say that they're exactly the same as humans in the range of emotion or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. Um, but the kids are very on board with kind of the vegan mission, with the planetary sustainability side of things. They love the food, and I will say that the most kids are going to be more inclined towards rich foods, are going to be more inclined towards
Mm-hmm.
things that even sweets and candy and everything. And part of it is like the human physiology, the human brain and dopaminergic system is designed to seek out nutrient dense foods like high fat foods, like nuts,
Yeah.
like seeds, and then you put it all into one like a piece of birthday cake, and the human will see that as super survival food. They'll choose that like 90% of the time in the wild. If you're walking
Yeah.
around, you see an apple or a piece of chocolate cake, you're probably going to go for the chocolate cake because it's just so nutrient dense.
Yeah.
So the way that an adult gains maturity and doesn't just eat chocolate cake all the time, because we have that available to us in this day and age. We could just do that,
Mm-hmm.
is from the
Yeah.
recognition that, for one, it makes you feel like shit if you eat that all the time. But for two, it causes health issues, it causes you to gain weight. So we have the pattern recognition and the maturity that comes with that wisdom. So we make more balanced decisions from the higher will rather than the animalistic nature. Well, the children are still developing that. That's why they need parents to guide them, to be like, no, we're not going to eat chocolate cake for dinner tonight. We're going to eat our balanced foods. It's okay. We're going to make it rich. We're going to put some nuts and seeds on it and sprinkle it with a little bit of cocoa aminos or
Mm-hmm.
whatever kind of salty you want on there. But we're going to keep things balanced, and we're going to indulge sometimes in slightly more rich food, keeping it balanced. Um,
Yeah.
so we allow them to branch out and try rich foods, even like super rich foods. Sometimes they oftentimes feel
Mm-hmm.
bad afterwards, and that's part of the development of their wisdom. But in general, especially during the winter, especially during stressful times, they're going to be like, I just want to eat brown rice. And
Yeah.
who are we? They're healthy kids. They're super balanced in so many ways. So
Yeah.
we incorporate some of those foods into our
Yeah.
diet. And in
Mm-hmm.
times when they're sick, like they have runny noses and stuff, we're not letting them eat brown rice noodles or something like that.
Yeah.
Trying to
Yeah.
be
Uh-huh.
parenting is balance. It's like about
Yeah,
not being
exactly.
over restrictive and a dictator,
Mm-hmm.
but also you have to protect them from
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
harming
I,
themselves.
I I agree with all of this. Like, I don't have children, but one day, if I do, I want to be I want to, kind of do the same, just to keep it balanced. I don't want to, push, or it depends where we are,
Hmm.
like it's just like, if you're already doing like 99%, being healthy, then your
Hmm.
kids are healthy, like what we grow up to. Like I grew up like some cornflakes and no nutrition at all. Like and I still, grew up pretty healthy, but
Yeah.
and yeah, like I think it's not the perfection. I think it's the consistency, like getting enough nutrients in your diet and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The kids are very they also learn, like they know what is the most healing. Like whenever
Yeah.
they get a cold or get a flu or something like that, they're fasting, they're eating fruit, uh
Mm-hmm.
they're drinking the teas and the medicine that we give them.
Yes.
They know, and that's a huge part of it is just providing a model for health, and
Yes.
also, being like, hey, it's natural to want to indulge
Mm-hmm.
in things
Mm-hmm.
whenever you're feeling stressed and things.
Yeah.
It's better to fast from constant indulgence. Uh,
Yeah.
and yeah, so yeah, the raising children things is a unique thing itself, and that's also one of the things that I share with people, is that I have a unique
Yeah.
perspective. I have 5 children. I didn't mention that in this slide, but I have 5 children ranging from 2 years old to 12 years old. And
That's so cool.
yeah, so it's that's one of the shared visions me and my wife had, was to have a big family and to sort of like
Mm-hmm.
um uh how to say, to restart the extended family living part of the
Yeah.
culture, because it's
And
there's so much love for our families, but there's so much worldview difference, there's so much diet difference. It's almost impossible to live together without conflicts coming up,
yeah.
and so it's just one of the challenges of this epic time we live in. And so my wife and
Mm-hmm.
I, we don't have a lot of support from
Okay.
community and
Mm-hmm.
family, but we went for it. We're like, okay, we're going to create an epic team of family. We teach them that we're going to stay together in this life, and that their children are going to be companions and cousins and partners, and
Yeah.
that we're going to stick with them as their
Yeah.
grandparents. We're sort of like restarting.
You're kind of creating your own empire, like and
Exactly.
that's yeah.
Because we have
And
we have the dream of building community later on. But what are communities made of? Communities are made of healthy individuals that make up healthy families that then come together into communities. And
mm-hmm.
it starts with you and me, and
Mm-hmm.
doing our best to overcome the challenges
Yeah.
and the addictions that we have, for better, more sustainable, healthy, long-term visions, finding
Mm-hmm.
partners who have the similar vision, coming together, making sacrifices in this time. Because like I said, it's not easy to raise children without an extended family whenever you homeschool or something like that. We
Yeah.
do all our own homeschooling for,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think this is the major like thing that your kids can grow up with their natural environment. They can go outside, run around, do whatever they want, eat fruits. You're homeschooling. They don't need to go somewhere to sit down like 8 to 9 hours straight and just to do something robotic. Like I hated school. I really,
Mm.
hated school. I was always interested about these topics, but I just couldn't concentrate on these school classes, and it was like pain for me. I still see like awful dreams about my school, and this is just the case. I don't agree with. Like I think like that's cool that you are showing to the world that you can do differently about all this
Yeah,
and yeah.
I wish so much that the education system was really about the development of the human mind to be
Mm-hmm.
powerful, free thinking, but it's just not. It's in this day and age, the corporate agenda, if you will, for lack of better words, are wanting to go into conspiracy or any of this, that really want our children to be good at following instructions and good at
Yeah.
following, like you said, like robotic sort of
Mm-hmm.
processes. So they teach you how to do the math, how to do the reading, how to do all the things you need to do to function as a worker, but not necessarily to think outside of the um, status
Yeah.
quo, which the type of things that we believe in, as far as earth-based living, community-based living. not merging with AI and stuff like that,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
becoming,
yeah.
transhumanist technobots or whatever. Those
Yeah.
are definitely fringe and comp what is it the word yeah, they're just fringe against the grain sort of ways of thinking. So we have to keep our kids with us. And yeah, yeah, that's a whole conversation in itself, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because the way we got into even talking about that is that we're doing something so radical as eating
Yeah.
a human specific diet. And that's what led us into like, oh, we're branching away from mainstream culture because we're doing something very
Hmm.
natural.
I think like when you go to this lifestyle, you kind of want to change everything in your life like to more natural way, and this is just the case. It's not only the food. You start to like see the changes overall in your life, and that's amazing about it. You just kind of open eyes and you're like, oh my God, there's so much world around me. Like it's not only the box here that I'm used to, live in. Like go to school, buy a house, raise kids, and just like go to work 9 to 5 and survive on the weekends, and like this is what I thought my life will be, but now it's like, oh my God, I want to go to jungle. I want to grow my own food and live um, nature with animals, and be in harmony with all this, and this is awesome about it.
Yeah, I think that's when because like mainstream culture, it offers us many pleasurable and stimulating, entertaining experiences. And like those are all great. We can work, we can drink
Yeah,
alcohol on the weekends, we can go watch movies, we can go to restaurants. But ultimately I think we're all feeling this yearning for something else and
yeah,
it's something like we lost. Like it's
yeah,
not like we're yearning.
exactly.
It's like a lot of people haven't put their finger on it yet, but whenever you start to get into the more natural lifestyle, you start to eating more human specific foods, you start to get into nature and you start to really experience the joy of family and things, you recognize a level of satisfaction um, that was not available in the luxury and convenience
Mm-hmm.
of mainstream culture. And you recognize it like that's what I'm yearning for. Like
Yeah,
what
yeah,
that whole is. And then you start to see all the things that revolve around that type of
yeah.
lifestyle. And it's basically everything we rely on in conventional mainstream. We need energy, we need fuel, we need food, we need clean water, we need housing. Um, we
Mm-hmm.
even need
Mm-hmm.
economy. We need economy to exchange with one another. We realize that there's a
Yeah.
more natural, more fair way to do this. And who's our greatest teacher is nature. We look into how
Yeah.
nature, and that's one of my big passions also. It's why my building career is actually in something called biologic architecture. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm a natural builder, but also we design based upon the geometry and principles of nature.
Amazing.
Yes.
I've seen so many cool houses you have built, and they look amazing. Just
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, when you come to Bali, we'll do the biologic
Yeah.
architecture tour.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be so fun. But
Well, I
yeah, right
love,
now we are actually thinking to explore a little bit Costa Rica, and
yes.
um, and also maybe to move because like we talked about, I'm here like minus 20 degrees,
Mm.
and it's not my natural place to be, and like I could get like through these winters with alcohol and going parties and doing this, but I don't do this anymore. So it is kind of survival for me, and I want to thrive. I really want to thrive, and this excites me. If a durian tree grows in my yard, and I can every day woke up and go to see if there's another fruit coming, and this is like my burning wish right now to have this in my life, and to really, yeah, live
Yeah.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, you'll love this story. When we moved to Bali, because we have had that yearning to get into the tropics for
Yeah.
almost 10 years. It's like really, and beyond that, really. we when we got here, we moved into a house and there was a durian tree in the front yard. And it had never
Oh,
produced, yeah, it had never produced yet. It takes 12 to 15 years for it to
okay.
produce its first durian. So
Okay. Mm-hmm.
the year that we arrived, that next fruiting season, it produced durian for the first time. And
Oh my
it
God.
was still pretty young, but so it produced like 17
Mm-hmm.
durians or something. And it's in a terrible spot. It dropped them on the roof and broke the clay tiles. So I was
Oh
fixing clay
no.
tiles, but they were so delicious. They were like the best durian. Maybe it's because they're in
Mm-hmm.
the front yard, but that was just like the apex of that
Exactly.
experience. Because I remember when we were in California and we were yearning to come to the tropics, it was a cold winter night. It was raining outside, and I started playing on my guitar a song. It was called Durian Ocean Dreams. It was just
Ah.
improvising with the kids. They were drawing their pictures of the tropics, and I'm singing Durian Ocean Dreams. And when that we had that first bite of durian, it was this amazing sort of full circle experience of just being like,
Wow,
yeah.
wow.
So I want that for you.
Yeah, exactly. Like nature just speaks through with it
Mm,
throughout with that with you and you know like you said like it takes 12 to 15 years to durian produce fruit and you know I can wait. It's just the procedure. You're just like there waiting and this is awesome about it. You grow something yourself and you get to eat from that and
yeah.
this is just so spiritual for me.
hmm Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love where this conversation went. I've not had
Yeah.
a fruit-based conversation that didn't go somewhere really deep, and it's just tough to keep it on the surface with this sort of stuff because it's such a
Yeah,
like
yeah.
revolutionary, sort of life
I could,
altering.
yeah, I could like talk forever. There's so many topics, you know, I'm interested and like there's so many things you are doing that are like so harmony in nature and everything. Yeah.
Well, I think that this is a great introduction, and maybe on the next call here, whenever we decide we could do a theme and we could go deeper into a topic, and then just
Yeah.
keep an ongoing conversation going. So what I would love to hear is um, just some basic, like what kind of recommendations do you have for folks who are transitioning or like maybe just like
Hmm.
how you thrive, some of the little bit of insight on uh, how
Yeah.
the ratios, how you eat in a day, just, a little hint and
Hmm.
tip.
Yeah. Yeah, like just little tips like when you're starting this lifestyle, you just decide to go full on one day. Um just like um, don't be harsh with yourself and know there can be some detox symptoms going through the way like I came from a severe restrictive diet and I gained a lot of weight even though I thought like oh, I'm never not gaining weight but I went through extreme hunger and when you start to let the foods in your diet again, then you kind of your body lets you know that it's been deprived so long that it needs to kind of you know make it up that time for it and you know it can be a little bit. Especially the first year, there can be, you know, your acne may go worse, or you know, you're kind of developing something you haven't deal with like whole your life. But it's just like be you know consistent, be patient, don't be hard with yourself and it's just like it goes away eventually. This lifestyle just gets better every year and like it's my third year right now and this is the best year. Like it wasn't like it went overnight, everything was great and I felt great. No, it's just right now like the seed is like growing and I see like the changes and it gets more like easier for me. And first year I ate a lot of cooked foods as well, like in the evenings, and I made it more easier for me, especially like living in the winter here and this is just more natural for me to include some cooked foods as well. Right now, I'm eating raw, and I'm eating a little bit more fats as well in the evenings. in the morning and in the lunch, I eat completely fruits. I include some spirulina and chlorella. In the winters, I just kind of want them. I feel my body, is craving some greens, so I include green powder to my smoothies. And in the evenings, I do some complicated veggie meals. I eat some raw cauliflower sometimes, and mostly I eat simple salads. But I feel I'm thriving more if I do some dehydrated foods and eating some nuts and seeds. Though I feel it's not optimal. It's not the best fruit digest the best. Every veggie has their consequences.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
you kind of feel it doesn't digest that well, but it still digests better for me than cooked foods. Cooked foods
Yeah.
kind of dehydrate me a lot, and I just feel good right now doing that. Yeah, yesterday I did like raw pizza and raw tuna, and I like to experience with this. I also feel my kind of um creativity comes out of in the kitchen, and I
Hmm.
really like to explore in this. So I'm not being strict with the rules, but I do try to keep my fats in the evening time in the dinner, because it takes time for fats to digest, like up to 12 hours or more,
Hmm.
and it just I sleep like after that, and it digests, and in the morning I can eat like fruits again, and this just works for me right now. In the summers, I don't crave fat so much, and like I want more fresh food, and
Yeah,
yeah, like
I think that even like whenever you hold off your rich meal for dinner, it's
hmm
actually like kind of challenging to like overdo the fat. And I mean, obviously you can do like a nut butters and stuff like that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
you and I will feel that. We'll be just like, oh my God,
hmm
feel awful. But like doing some dehydrated stuff, doing some nuts and seeds, and like I tell people, um, whenever in the recommendations that I make, like you, I tell people take, this is a transitionary period because I'm wanting to help people go from conventional diets into
yeah,
healing diets. And the first step for me is going to a whole food plant-based diet. So
hmm
involving some cooked foods, involving some beans, some grains to really replace the heavy satiating foods of animal
yeah,
products and cheeses and dairy and stuff like that, and even refined foods, and replacing
hmm
that with whole grains, whole beans, some cooked veggies, and then but it, it, I want people to be able to like curb those cravings by having that richness, and then to
yeah,
aim for at least 50% from the get raw from the get-go, and then to aim for
hmm
higher and higher raw as they go. And I also teach people, try fruit for breakfast.
yeah,
Try fruit for breakfast. If you feel great on it for breakfast, try it for lunch too, and then do your rich meal later on. And so I'm
hmm
telling people how to transition. And if anybody's interested and needs a little support, I've got a pretty cool document. It's called the Whole Food Plant-Based Transition Guide. That's just a free guide. Just message me and I'll send it to you. And that gives you what I've refined down to being the most essential and awesome whole food plant-based dishes, recipes, and cooking gear to like make the transition. And then encourage people, experiment with more fruit, experiment with more raw down the line. And I was just also saying that for people to estimate, I teach people to track their macros a little bit in the beginning so they can get an idea of what 20% fat looks like and
hmm
how they feel if they indulge. Because I also tell people like if you're going to indulge, that's cool. Just track it and see what did your ratios land at. Were you at
hmm
35% fat that day? Now you can see 35% fat, and the next day you felt sluggish and tired. That's how
yeah,
wisdom
yeah.
is built. It's pattern recognition. And so
hmm
every experience is valuable when you're paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we need to go through our own journey, and we need to do these mistakes, or mistakes, whatever works for you. You need to see how your body reacts to it, and then
Hmm.
that's
Yeah,
what it will.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
I teach people like if the I 20% is of calories from fat is a range where you can get plenty of richness, You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to like really nitpick what you're eating and things. You can eat a little bit of
Mm-hmm.
nuts, a little avocado stuff. Um, but you're still going to get good insulin sensitivity. So this is sort of like 20% or below. I think that, Doug Graham, he talks about
Yeah.
10% being ideal
Yeah.
for many people. I think somewhere, and then the mastering diabetes guys, they
Mm-hmm.
say 15% is really a sweet spot for people. For robust, healthy individuals, 20% is probably fine for the majority of people if you're more sensitive, then back the fat down. You'll know the difference when you
Yeah.
experiment.
Yes.
You'll feel it.
Yes,
And so
exactly.
just to give people like a little bit of reference, 20% calories from fat is about uh, a normal sized avocado, maybe two whole walnuts, so like four walnut halves, and then a tablespoon of ground chia. That's
Mm-hmm.
about 20% calories from fat for most people. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the recommendations that I have also as well is going easy on
Mm-hmm.
yourself, keeping the fat in check. Don't go crazy on the fat because it's going to mess up your carb digestion, and you might mistake the sluggishness for an issue with the actual plant-based diet. Don't be that person. Don't make that mistake. And also don't make the mistake of thinking that a detox symptom or a healing crisis is depletion. Obviously, pay
Mm-hmm.
attention, have a well-rounded plant-based diet, get educated on some things, talk to somebody like Reelyka or myself about properly transitioning, but also know if you go high raw, high fruit, hard and fast, you're probably going to detox hard and fast as well. And you need some support for the eliminative organs to really move past that. And you need the confidence um, of other people who have already gone through it to help you kind of
Mm-hmm.
move through that without feeling like freaking out, being like, "Oh my God,
Yeah,
I need to go
exactly.
carno."
Because my first year, like I wanted to give up so many times because I didn't know if I'm doing it right and if it's the right, way to go because I didn't feel that great. And right now I'm looking back and there's so many things I could have improved and I did like a lot of, mistakes, but like that's why, yeah, as you said, we are here to, help you through it and really, guide you. And it can take a lot of, energy from your back and like you can just like do the right things and your results can come like faster.
Exactly. I call it, we've done some trailblazing. We've already cleared a lot of the brush. We've taken wrong turns. We've made some good
Yeah.
corrections, and we
Yeah.
can save you time, strife, and just and get you from further down the path. So we're just a little further down the
Exactly.
path. Um,
Yeah.
so that said, what kind of services do you offer and where can we reach you?
Yeah, right now I'm working healing people's microbiome, working with their bloatings, overall helping to get them on a fruit-based, more healthier lifestyle. As you said, like we're not starting right away, full fruit lifestyle. There is some transition time as well, and it depends on your goal as well. Like maybe you don't want to be on a fruit-based lifestyle. There's plenty of ways to be a healthy vegan. And yeah, I'm offering free guide as well. So if you want that bloating free body free guide, then DM me, or I have a meal plan as well, easy meal plan. And um, and as I've been going on the retreats a lot, so I'm doing my very first retreat in Malaga this September. So if you're interested, having super good fruits in Spain this autumn, then you are like free to come and just DM me again to get more information about that. I'm very excited to create this event to meet with similar people. And yeah, these are always I say people, like if you struggle and you don't find, like, if it's hard for you, then go to a fruit-based event or find the people around you, and you see how real these people are. Like this is not just like some community, or these people are very welcoming, whatever you are, wherever you come from. This is just, we have all gone through our own roads, and to really just connect in this field, it's so different. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, and I'll put some of your links in the description as well. And so yeah, I have a membership. It's called Plant Ninja Academy. And then I also do one-on-one transformational coaching. And you can find everything on me at plantninja.life. And so anything, even the guides and stuff, go to plantninja.life. And if you and even feel free to message me anytime. I talk to everybody. And I really my favorite, I mean, my most my biggest inspiration really is just to help as many people on the journey as possible. And um, so yeah, definitely reach out if you're looking for a little bit of support on the journey. Reach out to Reelyka if you're interested in going to that epic retreat. I'm inspired about it. I think I'm gonna have to let the kids just get a little bit older, and then we'll see you out there and have a sweet festival together. Um,
Yeah.
so wow, this has been an awesome conversation. I really love where we
Yeah,
went with it. I love the tips, and it's just been really great talking to you. You're obviously an amazing and beautiful example of raw food,
same.
high fruit diet, and
Yeah, same to you. Like it was very great talking to you, and thank you for inviting me.
of course, absolutely. Thanks everybody on the Instagram, and we'll have another one of these conversations maybe in a month or so. So stay tuned,
Yeah.
and we'll pick a theme, and we'll go deep. We'll do a deep dive into something.
Okay, bye
All right, take
everyone.
care, y'all.